Each year we spend good money on these things.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for all the subscribers. This video is going to be a reflection on some of the authors I've discovered in 2021 and looking forward to some of the people I'll be discovering in 2022. So I've read tons of books this year, more so than normal because of my little stint in hospital and stuff. So lots of new discoveries, but I'm picking 5 of my favourites, I guess, that could lead to a whole load of new other books that will lead to loads and loads of other books I'll be reading by them. So I'm going to pick those 5 to sort of reflect on 2021, and then I want to talk about 5 authors that I know I'm going to be looking at in 2022.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
Okay, so the first one, this is quite early on in the year, but I discovered Ted Chang. So I did do a video on the stories of your life and exhalation. I haven't got exhalation back from my friend yet, so I'm just showing you this one. But both books are unbelievable, absolutely brilliant. 2 of the greatest books I've ever read. Really phenomenal stuff. I'll probably mention them again when I talk about short stories. I want to do that at some point, but really amazing. Both of them are short story collections, and both of them blew my tiny mind. So Ted Chang, amazing discovery. I don't think he's that prolific, so I don't know when we'll get some more works by him, but these 2 books, Stories of Your Life and Exhalation, are phenomenal. Check out the video on those 2 books that I've already done. Another author that I've heard a lot about and I decided to dip my toe in was Jim Butcher. So the Dresden Files are really popular, and I read Stormfront a few months ago, and I wanted to keep reading. I loved it. So I've got the next 2. So apparently the next one could be a little bit of a dip, and then it gets like really good after that, apparently. I'm not sure. But the next one's about werewolves, so I'm well happy about that. But anyway, I kind of didn't want to delve too. What I wanted to do was to finish the Rivers of London books that I've got before I went too far into this series, because there's kind of similarities and differences, and I just wanted to kind of have a clean slate with the Rivers of London books before I read these. But if you guys have read these, then tell me more about them. But I did really enjoy the first one. So Jim Butcher, The Dresden Files, was another one I really loved from this year. So this was a weird one. I didn't expect to see this or anything like this. This is a really short book, but I absolutely loved it. I only read it in a few hours, but well, a couple of hours really. And obviously Andrew Kaufman sounds a lot like Andy Kaufman, but it's not Andy Kaufman, the actor. It's another guy. And apparently this is quite typical of what he does, I think, from what I gather. But I really loved it. I think it's much deeper than it appears. And I think he's a really interesting writer, so I want to read more of what he's written. But All My Friends Are Superheroes, I kind of accidentally found it online. It looked interesting, so I bought it, and I want to buy others by him. I thought it was really, really good. So All My Friends Are Superheroes was another one I discovered a few months ago. Andrew Kaufman, definitely going to look into his stuff. Again, another guy that I heard a lot about, and I did a special video on this book because I absolutely loved it. I really loved it. I've got the second book on my Christmas list, so I'm hoping to start reading the second book, Kings of the Wild. I thought it was really funny and really entertaining, really interesting characterization. Loved the plot, just loved everything about it. And it's the first time I'd read a fantasy book for a little while. I read a proper fantasy for a while. I used to read a lot of fantasy when I was younger, and I want to read more next year. Yeah, it was really nice to get back into it with this, because I think it's a really enjoyable read. So yeah, Nicholas Eames is the author. So that was a new discovery for me, and I know there's 3 books. No, there's 2 books out, and I think there's one about to come out in this series. So yeah, definitely can't wait to read more by Nicholas Eames, because I really like the way he wrote. I thought it was very entertaining. So yeah, Kings of the World, Nicholas Eames. And then around Halloween time, I wanted to look for more horror stuff, and I discovered Joe Hill. I didn't realise at the time, when I first discovered his name and started looking into it, that that was Stephen King's son, or one of Stephen King's sons. I knew about Owen King already, but I'd already bought this because I'd heard about Heart-Shaped Box. I'd already heard about Nosferatu. But anyway, it was an extra kind of, interesting when I found out that it was King's son. But it was a brilliant book. I really loved it. So that was really cool. Nice discovery. I want to read as much by him as I can. So that's another thing that I'll be delving more into. But that was a really nice discovery this year, based around me wanting to read some more horror stuff around Halloween time. So yeah, Joe Hill, nice discovery this year. So those are the discoveries I had this year. Well, not the only discoveries, but my favourite ones, the 5 that I wanted to pick for this video. So now let's look into 2022. So one of the books I'm really excited about that is going to be the first book in the journey discovering this massively celebrated author, Nnedi Okorafor. So really interesting kind of African-based science fiction, Binti. It's actually a trilogy, so each part of the trilogy is quite small, and I managed to find a book in Forbidden Planet which had all 3 bits in it complete as a compendium. We use that word. So yeah, Okorafor, she sounds like a really interesting author. I've deliberately not delved too much into the plot because I wanted to find out as I was reading it, but I've heard lots of good things. So this could be a new author for me. Really excited about discovering Nnedi Okorafor. Another one that I want to look into more, Chuck Palahniuk. So he wrote Fight Club, so that's kind of his most famous book. So I bought this ages ago, but I'm finally going to read it, partly because I keep finding other books by him really cheap and getting them because the backs, I'll read the backs and they look amazing. So Choke and Lullaby is going to be read next year alongside Fight Club, so that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. I've seen the film for this, so I know what kind of thing I'm to expect, but I get the impression, just because of how books go, that it's probably a lot better. So I'm going to look into I'm going to read this first, and then I'm going to read these two. They look really, really cool. So Chuck Palahniuk is another one that I'm hoping to get into next year. Haruki Murakami. So you guys probably have heard of this guy. I have definitely heard of him, but I haven't read anything by him yet. So I did find this, which I hadn't heard of the book. I heard of other books by him, but this is Hardboard, Wonderland, and the End of the World. So it's apparently 2 stories that kind of merge, and it looks really awesome from the back. And I'd like to find out what I think of his writing. So this is another really exciting discovery. Hopefully I'll have next year. So Murakami is all over BookTube. So I definitely keep hearing about him. But I'm going to actually find out what I think next year. Another one that's been bubbling under my TBR kind of situation, I've got a few by him now, and that's Michael Crichton. So again, huge name, but I've never read anything by him. I'll probably start with Jurassic Park, to be fair. Get into his writing style while knowing the plot. But this is this keeps coming up. This is apparently quite a popular one, and I've got a couple of others. But yeah, Michael Crichton could be something worth reading. And I am also influenced by one of the booktubers I watch the most, which is Mike's Book Reviews. So hello to Mike. He probably won't watch this, but I think he's brilliant, and he raves about Michael Crichton. So yeah, that's partly why I've been sort of getting something if I've seen it. So I'll see what I think of this guy next year. And then another big name, again, this is probably one of the most popular authors on BookTube, and I wanted to read more fantasy, and I used to read a lot when I was younger, but I want to go back into that a little bit, get more of a breadth of understanding or knowledge of what's out there now, the new authors. And this guy is clearly someone I should be reading. So this is the first book of the Mistborn books. So it was a trilogy, and then it got expanded, didn't it, into a bigger set of books. But yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I'm going to find out how I feel about him. So that would be cool. Really, really big name. So I'm looking forward to finding out what I think of his writing. I have watched his YouTube videos that are kind of tutorials on how to write, which have been really interesting. And obviously, I keep hearing people talking about him. So I do have certain expectations, but I will be delving into Brandon Sanderson next year as well. So lots to look forward to. And some of that stuff will probably end up in these videos as well, hopefully. And we'll see how we get on. Please like the video if you've liked it. Please comment if you have read the ones I've already read, or you've read the ones I'm going to read, because I'd love to know what you think. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Paint me a picture